Hey everybody, welcome back. So there's something that I see pretty commonly, people asking about stuck shed on their snakes. Is it safe for them to take the skin off? How do they do it? How do they get it off of them and so forth? And there's a lot of different things that'll tie into that. So we want to look at that, and I actually have a retic down here that while I'm doing enclosure maintenance, we're going to work on him too, because he has got a little bit of stuck shed on him that hasn't come off yet. So we're going to go ahead and get him soaked up, and I'll show you how I do that when we come back on Intrepid Exotics. Do you have a natural love for animals? Then come along with us as we explore what it's like living with and caring for some of the most unique animals on the planet, our reptiles. Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. So oddly enough, I've got several different species of snakes in my collection here. I've got Burmese pythons, carpet python, green tree python, a couple ball pythons, a couple hognose, and king snake. And the only two actually that give me any problem at all shedding are my reticulated pythons. Everybody else, almost all the time, nice, clean, full shed. And oddly enough, the Burmese python in the top enclosure back here and my reticulated python in the bottom enclosure are in almost identical environments. And the Burm, every single time, perfect shed. The retic, it's straight confetti every time I go up there. And it's really difficult to keep humidity levels in these sometimes. I keep them on paper. And if I was to use something like a peat, cypress mulch, cocoa fiber type bedding or something like that, it would hold humidity a lot better. But there's just more opportunity for things to grow in there, bacterial accumulations, things like that, and more opportunities for ingestion of substrate, for them getting impacted. If they are eating, they get a piece stuck in their mouth or something and then start rubbing on the glass. It can lead to infections in their mouth. So I try and keep everything really sterile for these guys and keep them all on paper. The downside to paper is it doesn't hold humidity well at all, especially in the wintertime, because of course cold air holds less moisture than warm air does. So when the temperature drops, the moisture in the air drops, and it can be pretty difficult sometimes. So one thing that I'm going to do really quick with him is I'm going to show you how I just set up his tub. You get him in enough water that will completely cover him. Make sure that it's at least over 75 degrees. Make sure it's nice and warm. You don't want to shock him, throwing him into cold water or anything. And I'll show you how I set that up. So for me, I just use the same tub that I hold him in when I take him out to clean his enclosures. What some folks will do is, every time you take them out to clean their enclosure, have water in here and let them soak. That's a really good thing to do as well. So when you do this, you don't need to have everything filled up because, of course, the snake's body is going to displace a lot of water the bigger he is. If you fill it all the way up to here, and when you put the snake in there, that thing's going to end up overflowing on you. So, something like this, I've got it, maybe up to here. A little less than 10 inches or something. That's going to be fine in here. Like I said, when his body weight gets in there, it's going to displace all that water and cover him up. Now, this just came out of the garden hose. I don't have any hot water sources down here in the reptile room. And I really don't feel like getting hot water from upstairs and bringing it down here. So I've got a method that I use on these tubs. It's definitely got to be warmed up because you check the temperature of the water. And this right now is at 57 degrees. Definitely not something you want to put the snake in. So I'm going to show you what I use. So I have this little space heater here. And this is what I use for the Nile monitor's water too, because he's got his tub right back here. And I'll keep this space heater kind of pointing on the outside of this tub right here. And that keeps his water temperature up about 75 degrees, which is about perfect for him. And for this, it's real easy. I'm just going to turn that on, leave it on high. And a couple things to keep in mind if you end up doing this technique is, one, you've got a heat source in a plastic tub. So you've got to be really careful that you make sure it's the right distance away and everything. You know, you leave it on there for a couple minutes, check the temperature of the check the temperature of the outside of the tub. You know, this thing's coming up about 90 degrees right now, and that's going to be enough over time to get this thing warmed up. I'll just leave it on there for a little while, and I went ahead and put the lid back on here. That's just going to help the air inside of it warm up a little bit better. It's not going to bleed off so much. Just going to help everything warm up faster. And we're like 125 degrees on there, so we're good. Okay, so we got the water warmed up. It's 85 degrees in there. It's nice temperature for him. Now let's get him out of there so we can get him squared away. Hey, buddy. Hey. Hey, bud. And these guys can get a little bit grumpy when they're dealing with shed. You can see how he's kind of hiding under his platform right there. He doesn't look too happy about the idea coming out right now. But I'm just going to kind of keep rubbing him with the hook a little bit. I don't want to reach in there with his head hiding back there like that. Just on the off chance he's really grumpy. But let's see if we can get him moving a little bit. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. Touch him just a little bit, and I've got the hook there in between him and my arm. Come on, buddy. Hey, buddy. Come on. And see, this is one of those times where you really got to pay attention to the behavior, because he's squaring off on me. His tongue's not moving. He doesn't look particularly happy right now. But we're going to get him through that. He doesn't really have look on his face like he really wants to come at me. He's just, I don't think he really feels good. He doesn't want to be messed with. But again, this is one of those times that we're going to get him out anyway, because he's got to come out. Come on, bud. Come on, bud. Come on. And I'm trying really hard not to just poke him with the stick, you know. I don't want to harass him with it. I'm just using it in part to protect myself, and in part just to kind of get him moving around a little bit. And it's the only bad part about these basking platforms. They can be a little bit difficult to work around sometimes. But there we go. And you can see, even with spraying his enclosure down and stuff, that it's so dry in here, that humidity gets sucked out of the air so quick. So, there we go. Come on, bud. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. I know you're not happy. Come on. Before he gets his head too far up here, I'm just going to go ahead and lift him out. And then slide him right down in the tub. Come on, buddy. Up. There we go. Okay. It's the fun part of trying to maneuver these guys when you got so much stuff in the area. Just a split second, he can go underneath something. A lot of fun. What's up, Apollo? You doing okay, buddy? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get his enclosure cleaned out now. So I'm going to go ahead and put him back in, and as I'm putting him back in, we're going to, make sure all the rest of the skin's off of him. He's been soaking for a better part of probably 30-45 minutes now. Should be really good and relaxed in there. And, one of the things that I did to kind of help mitigate some of the humidity issues is just putting some extra paper down in there and wetting it down really good. And we'll just go back in there and mist it periodically as we need to. Let me go ahead and get him out. And I understand my head's going to be cut off, but the snake is the important part here, so. And as always, you've got the hook here, and just like I've said before, when you take the lid off, you always pull it back towards you. That way, if his head's right there and he decides to bounce out of there, he's going to bounce off the lid, and, if you freak him out or something, he doesn't take a swing at you. Now you can see he's really enjoying his time in the water there, and I haven't really had to do anything to him. Looks like almost all of his shed has come off pretty much just from him moving around in here, which is really good. And so I'm going to kind of skim some of this stuff off the top so that when I'm picking him out of there, it doesn't stick to him. There he is. Feel better, buddy? And these guys do love the water. As you can see, he's almost been underwater the whole time I've been here. And I'm sure it feels real good to him. Give him a chance to hydrate a little bit more. And there we go. Come on, bro. Come on, T. What's up there, big boy? There you go. Yeah, so I'm just going to check him real quick. I'm going to make sure I don't see anything else on him. There you go. Yep. He's a little bit agitated, a little bit hyper right now, so we're just going to get him pointed back into his house. Oh. Okay, maybe agitated wasn't the right word. He just looks like he wants to explore now and stay out for a little while. And I'm so glad too that it's almost summertime out here, because I love getting these guys outside so that they can run around and explore and all that stuff. Come on, buddy. Run in there. Just kind of checking him as he goes back in. Make sure everything's off of him. So basically, with this stuff, if you've got a snake that's shed and there's just some stuff that hasn't come off of him yet, it's not a big deal. It's nothing to stress. Like I said, get them in a nice warm soak, let them sit there for 30 minutes or so. And 9 times out of 10, if the water's nice and warm, they feel comfortable, start moving around, that stuff will come off just like it did with him. So the weather's warming up. It's almost summertime. Everything's going to be nice and warm outside for the reptiles pretty soon. So look forward to a lot of good stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot of filming outside with these guys when I get them out there. And I will catch you guys later on Intrepid Exotics.